Hi, everyone. Ken Briggs here, back with another quick take. This time I'm going to be talking about the state visit from Charles III from the United Kingdom and what this means between the special relationship between the United States and the UK. So, King Charles III just wrapped up a state visit to Washington, including a state dinner at the White House, an address to a joint session of Congress, only the second British monarch in history to do that after his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, did it in 1991. Lots of pageantry, lots of warm words. Trump called him wonderful. Charles made jokes and got laughs from a divided Congress. And all of it was happening against a backdrop of the US UK relationship being in genuinely rough shape. Here's where things stand. A little over a year ago, Britain and the US were actually in a pretty good place. Keir Starmer, the Labour Prime Minister and far left by American standards, had built a working relationship with Trump. The UK was the first country to sign a trade deal with Washington in Trump's second term. Then the Iran war started in late February, and everything changed. Trump expected allies to fall in line. Most of Europe didn't, but Britain got singled out for special criticism, and here's why. Starmer didn't just decline to send troops. He initially refused to let the U.S. use British military bases to launch strikes. That's a big deal. The U.K. controls the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean, which hosts a major joint U.S.-UK military installation. Starmer blocked it. It took, according to Trump, 3 or 4 days to get partial approval for a more limited use of British bases. Trump's reaction was not subtle. He said, and this is a direct quote, "When we asked them for help, they were not there. When we needed them, they were not there." He called Starmer, quote, "no Winston Churchill." He threatened to tear up the trade deal. Starmer mostly held his ground. He said the UK would not get, quote, dragged into the war. His finance minister said she wasn't convinced the conflict had made the world safer. And politically, Starmer can't really afford it. The war is unpopular in Britain. Energy prices have spiked, and the IMF just downgraded UK growth for 2026. The British public is not in the mood to be America's wingman on this one. So that's the situation Charles walked into, and the visit was clearly designed to send a message. The relationship is bigger than the two men currently running these countries. Charles gave a 28-minute address to Congress that was surgically nonpartisan. He talked about shared history, shared values, centuries-old bond between the two nations. He got both sides of the aisle on their feet. Without calling out anyone, he pushed gently on democratic norms and the importance of allies. It was a masterclass in diplomatic soft power. Charles has been doing this his entire life, and it showed. But how much can a monarch actually fix? Charles has no formal role in British foreign policy. He can't change Starmer's position on Iran. He can't give Trump what he actually wants. What he can do is show up, be gracious, remind people of the history, and lower the temperature a few degrees, which he did. This particular rupture is more about the personalities of two men currently occupying temporary offices. Trump and Starmer were never going to be natural allies. One's a billionaire populist nationalist. The other's a former human rights lawyer who leads the Labour Party. The Iran war just made the underlying tension visible, but the relationship between these two countries will far outlast the two men who lead them right now, even if gaps arise between them at times. That gap isn't new. It flared up over Suez in 1956, over Iraq in 2003, and now over Iran. Each time, the special relationship takes a hit, and each time, both sides eventually find a reason to patch it up. Because the intelligence sharing, the military cooperation, the trade ties, and the cultural connections are all too deep to walk away from. So where does this leave things? The visit brought some goodwill. Charles did his job. The trade deal is probably safe. Threatening it was mostly posturing. But the underlying tension between a U.S. that expects unconditional support from its allies and a UK that reserves the right to make its own calls, that's not going away. and the next crisis will test it all over again.